there's an issue that you guys saw really quickly there, and it's a pretty small issue. It doesn't matter that much. But the lighting sort of gets messed up when you switch scenes in Unity. And this is just based on Unity's default behavior. The way that I usually fix it is I'm going to go onto that scene we're switching to. So I'm going to go into Forest World. I'm going to save this scene. And in the lighting panel, you have to turn off auto-generate. So this is a weird one. I'm actually not sure why this happens. I don't think it's supposed to. But if you turn off auto-generate and then you click generate lighting manually, it'll generate lighting and it'll be small, but then you'll see you'll get a folder this time. So having that folder should mean that when we go to our title screen and when we press play on our title screen and click start game, now the lighting is not all messed up like it was before. So that's pretty awesome because I think the lighting helps a lot with making a scene look nice. Cool. And something else I might do while we're here is just take this main camera that we have, like that. You can see we have a little preview of it right there. I might just drag it over a little bit and rotate it. Just give it a slightly different view of the level. Let me drag it up a tad. Something like that. So now when I press play, we have a nice like side view of our scene, so it's not all boring looking where we're just, when you press start game, nothing changes. In this case, when I press start game, it very obviously you're not playing the game versus just looking at it. Cool. Any questions about what we did to make that UI work? No? Okay, sweet. So other things you can do with UI, quick overview. If we go to create UI, we have a bunch of things here. So text, image, raw image, those are all pretty self-explanatory. We have things like toggles, we have things like sliders. So if I put these in the scene, you can go into game, sort of see like you have a slider like that. That can be pretty cool and really useful. You can actually utilize that as a health bar sometimes if you guys are making games with health in it. Input fields, so this one lets you enter text. That's cool. A bunch of options that Unity gives you pretty much for free. Scroll bar. The options are there. But I'm going to go and just do create UI, text. And in this text, I'm going to go and call this Super Marble. Okay, it's a little bit small over there. So we can go down, maybe make the font size up to like 30, and it has now disappeared forever. That's always good. The reason for this, 12, 16, 20, yeah, oh. Let's see where that limit is. Really surprising. Okay, yeah. So the reason for this is a little bit difficult to see, is because despite being a text object, it still has a width and a height. And whenever the text grows larger than the width of the box, it'll just disappear. Or it'll get pushed to the next level or whatever you want to think of. So in this case, it's obviously a little bit too small. I'm just going to, what does this do again? Is this helpful? I don't think so. I'm just going to make these a little bit larger. So I'm just going to make this up to like 500, 500. And then when I go down here, I'm just going to center them both. So you can see that this just sort of lets you center it horizontally and vertically. Awesome. And there's this awkward position right here. So we can do 0, tab 0. Now it's in the middle and covering everything. So this last thing is going to be a pretty important concept with UIs. And the way it works is it's this box right here. So this box ends up being pretty important. When you click on it, it gives you all these options for anchors and all these things that look extremely complicated. And then when you press Alt, like things change even more, and press Shift, things change anymore, I think. Like there's so many options. But what you need to know is that each of these represents where the object will be based out of. So if I press Alt in this one, you can see it sort of changes. So if I press Alt, you can see I can maybe make the object be quote unquote anchored at the top left or at the top. So I'm going to click the top. When I do that, you can see that position's now negative 250, but if I change this to 0, it's going to go all the way to the top. And now I can sort of maybe make the position a little bit lower. And that's great, because now when I switch this, you can see that everything sort of gets anchored. So this thing stays close to the top, and this thing stays right in the middle. So it can be a little bit complicated. And at this point, I wouldn't really expect you guys to mess with it much. But it's something nice to know. And we probably won't be going over it all that much in the future. So I think it's nice to mention right now so you guys have heard of it, you guys know it, so that when you guys start developing UIs in the future, you guys can say, okay, like I want to like make this be in the bottom left corner all the time. How do I do that? Use the anchor to do that. Sweet. And we can press play and make sure this works. We have our nice super marble text. It's a little bit rough. It's black on that. Yep. That's the name I'm going with. And you can do things like change the color. White might be a better fit in this situation, actually. Yeah, I think white looks a little bit better. So now we have this, and we press start game. Nothing happens. Yeah. Okay, so right now I can't click on the button. There's a reason for this. However, it's pretty subtle. The reasoning is that I made the text box really large. I made it 500 by 500, and that means it's a big box and my text is centered in the middle of it. So unfortunately, right now, I believe that the text is in front of the button. So whenever I click, it's actually stealing the click from the button. So what I'm going to try to do is push this in the negative Z direction and see if that helps when I press play. And if it does, nope, maybe positive Z. We'll see. And if this doesn't work, I'll just increase the size. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, UI and Unity is weird. Let's switch this over to like 100. And now that works. So for some reason Z1 doesn't work, which confuses me. I'm not sure why that wouldn't have worked. But what I did to fix that is I sort of just shrunk the height down so that it wasn't occupying the same space as the button.